Speak to Crispian Cuss in London. He's a former British Army officer and defence analyst with the security consultancy firm, the Olive Group. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Crispian. So what can these French and British military advisors do to turn these rebel fighters into an effective fighting force?
Well, I think we should just sort of bear in mind just how limited this additional help is. We're talking 10 senior officers from the British and probably a handful more from the French. So I don't think we're going to see any real dramatic way in which the rebels are conducting their operations. In fact, from what we've been told, that sort of training and advice is actually excluded from this mission. They won't be teaching them tactics, they won't be helping them fight, they won't be sort of, supporting helping them plan their combat operations. I think they're going there for a far more organisational purposes to help them sort of sort out their logistics and sort of help the sort of support services that any army requires to function properly.
Because some critics have said anyway that this move to deploy military advisors is basically a transgression of the UN Security Council resolution, and that a military team, any military team on the ground, would effectively mean taking part in ground battles there. Is that the case or not?
No, it's not at all, and the United Nations Resolution 1973 doesn't say anything of the sort. I think they might be getting confused slightly. What it does say is it says that any occupation of Libya is forbidden, but many nations send many different training teams to countries all over the world and advising someone on how they might deploy their troops better, how they might resupply them better, because after all, an army is only as effective as the supplies it's getting. Many countries do that across the world at the moment, and that certainly isn't an occupation in any shape or form.
All right, and of course there are a lot of challenges, Crispian, facing these opposition fighters in Libya. Also reports of divisions and rifts within the leadership. I mean, how do foreign advisors assist when there's already so many problems, it seems, within this opposition force?
I think you're right, and what we've seen is, I think what a lot of people feared when this resolution was sort of rushed through on one weekend was, what happens if the NATO attacks against the Libyan Colonel Gaddafi's troops, if that doesn't break the impasse? What happens next? Well, we're in that stage now. What is going to happen next? Are we going to see a stalemate? And I think what you're seeing now is these advisors being sent there, not to take part in the fighting, but just try and help the rebels be slightly more effective, to help them use the resources they got at their disposal, to help them sort of break this deadlock which is going on between the two sides. Otherwise, this civil war, this conflict is going to be a prolonged experience, and the West certainly doesn't want to be involved in Libya for any longer than they need be.
And now, in your experience, Crispian, what needs to happen to break this stalemate now?
One side has to win. It really is as simple as that.
Right.
Now, Colonel Gaddafi's forces can't win because every time they move closer to a rebel position, then they get hammered by the NATO airstrikes. So what the West has to do is hope either that Colonel Gaddafi's forces just get bored of supporting him, think he's no longer, their future isn't viable with him, and they just disappear, allowing the rebels to move forward, or they have to help the rebels pull themselves together, become a more coherent military unit, and they can move forward and take the cities and kick Gaddafi out of Tripoli. So the West have got to come up with some way of turning the rebel force into a far more effective functioning unit, and starting with their administration and starting with their supplies and how they support their own troops. There's probably quite a good way of doing that.
Okay, thank you very much. Crispian Cuss, former British Army officer and defence analyst, joining us there live from London. Thanks for your time.